We are going to be going over the methods of REST API, and this is based off of previous videos that are in the playlist linked below the like button. This is where the code that we're going to be working with is from. This is all based off of a different video that's not mine that is in the description below the like button. It's pretty good and it goes about more of this in detail. This was just what I'm taking from it. So we have methods of REST API. We have our CRUD, create, read, update, and delete. So it's spelled like this. We have our create, read, update, and delete here. And then we have this on the right hand side. And this diagram is given to us as post, get, put, delete. So delete is very deletey. Update is put. We have post. Posting is like the first thing you do, create. And then just getting is reading. Putting is updating. So we have our HTTP methods. This is going to be hands-on, and we're going to be using POSTMAN. And this is just a quick download and super easy, super fast. You download it, you install it, and then you just open it up and it's going to look something like this. So previously we've done all of our local hosting inside of like our web application where we've written everything out, and we're going to continue to do that here. However, we're also going to use POSTMAN. It's a little bit easier to run in, it's a little bit nicer as well, and we can use these post and gets very easily. So going back into our code, we're going to look at everything previously. We're not changing anything in our pom.xml file. We're not changing anything in our applications file. This is what it looks like. We have our submissions form, and the pom is right here. It comes standard. We have our src, which has our JSP files in it, and the application is going to be in our src main resources under application properties. So we have this submission form right here, and this is going to be in our main Java, and submission forms application is basically just our Spring Boot application where we're really running the whole thing here. We have our customers, which is making all of the entities of our customers when we call it, and it's based off the ID. That's going to distinguish every single customer. We have our add customer, and this is going to print out every single time we want to add a customer. I'm just going to run it so we can demonstrate this as well as have it on the screen. We also have our view customer. This is old, we're not really changing anything from here. Those were talked about previously. And then we have our form controller. We're adding a whole lot here, so we've imported a ton of new libraries. For this video, we're also changing our CRUD repository to JPA repository right here, just for like different output. And then we have our retrieve, which we're not changing anything from here. We're just retrieving customer details. We're not going to be using all of these, but those are just important to note. Those are all the files we have, as well as our form controller. So in our form controller, we need to auto wire our customer's repo for repo here. What this auto wire is doing is it's getting our customer's repo class right here. It's getting our customers, which is stored in here, and the integer. The integer is what's going to define everything for being different, and that's why we have this @id, because that's an integer. Now inside of here, we are making a object of it, calling it repo. All of this we've gone over previously, and now is where we are going to get our new stuff. So we have our get details, that's super standard, and then we have our /customers, and this one is when we do /customers, we're going to get repo.findAll, and then toString. We're just going to return all the customers in our database. Next we have customers too. So this is a cool new way to think about things. What if we want like a specific customer? Well, if we want a specific customer, we're just going to pass in their specific ID number. So let's say we're inside of our enter customer ID. And let's say we have like 1, and we have this inside of here. We press submit. This goes inside of here, and let's go into our H2 console. So this one is just going to be the link that we have in our application process right here. To get to it, we're just going to do our localhost, whatever port we're using, and then a /h2/console. And then we want to put this in our URL. We press connect here. And then this is what I've had previously. Insert into customers values. So this is another way we can insert like how we have here. We're going to insert into our customers, and then we have the values. We have our ID, we have our name, and then we have the email that has to be in order. And then this is just going to show us. So if we click run, it says that the unique index is violated. That means basically that we already have something inside of here. So if we scroll down, we can see that we have everything input inside of here. So what this is going to do, this too, is if we want a specific one, we can do this too, and it's going to get us that specific one. Now if we press 1, it's going to give us that specific one. And how that works is we have this /customer/2, so that's going to be in our URL. So we're going to take whatever we have, like this right here, this 2, and we're hard coding it into here. We're basically finding my ID 2. And we can hard code for 1 and 2, but what if we have like 100? We don't want to hard code all of these. So we could use something like this. This is even better. We don't need this. We can just comment it out because this does the same thing, but better. It's not hard coded. So Spring needs to take from parameters passed here. We need to tell it to do that. So what we're going to use is a @path variable inside of our method header right here. Notice how everything else is pretty much the same. So we have our @response body right here. We have our @request mapping. So the response body is just going to get a response from our body. And then this is changing where we have /customers and then /. Now with these braces, we're actually going to take this right here. Instead of just passing a 2, we're taking whatever the user is putting in right here. So we're going to have CID and then int CID. So we're storing it as CID and it's going to be path variable CID here. And then we're just going to do repo.findById. Then we pass in the ID, whatever the user put in. And what that is doing is going to take whatever we have here, like this one, it's going to put it into our repo. It's going to look through our entire repo, and then it's going to find the information associated with it, and it's going to return it as a toString. So that's how that would work. Now, let's say though that we want a list of customers. Well, let's take a /list. And we can actually do that from our POSTMAN. In our POSTMAN right here, we can see, even though I haven't put anything inside of here, if I just do localhost 8084 and then I do I think it's customers, and we press send, it should give us a list like this. And it's the same one that we have inside of here, where we put our users in. It's the same thing. So it's running off the same local host. Now for the list one, what if we want to make it a little bit prettier, a little bit nicer? Well, for list, all we have to do is change our return to a list type and then just do repo.findAll. We don't need to do a toString because it's returning a list. So we do lists, press send, and it says 404 not found because it's not lists, it's just list. Pressing send here, we get this. It's in pretty, we can have it as raw, we can have a preview, but we want the pretty just because it looks nice. So that is what our list would look like. It's very nice, and this is different from if we just had our customers, which looks like this. So list is like a better implementation for how we would want to see something like this. And again, it's just lists, not lists for this right here. Now, let's say we want to retrieve a specific detail of our customer class, similar to like /customer/CID. Well, there's this optional one too. It's going to be similar to lists. So we just do /request mapping. We do /opt. Actually, it's more similar to this one. We're going to take some input right here from our URL. User is going to pass it in. We're going to take it. It's going to be a path variable because it is a variable that the user is putting in. It's going to be CID, and we're storing it in int CID, and then we're just going to find by our int CID. Now, this is just another way to print this out. So if we go back to POSTMAN, and we go to /opt, and we do like 1, we can see this is how we would print this out. Let's do /2. We can see that's how that would print it out. Now, if we did the other one where it's like /customers/CID, you can do /customers/2. It's going to look like this. So this is just another way to print this out. It's kind of like list. These are very similar, except it prints it out like this, just a little bit nicer. So those are the ways we would get it. The next part of this notes is going to talk about the CRUD and post get delete. So where we have the create, read, update, and delete. This is really important because, well, let's say we want to create something, or we want to update, or we want to delete something. We can do that all inside of here. So how this would work is for this first one, we have @postmapping_list. And this /list, I put it the same as this one. And the reason why we can do that is because this is request mapping and this is post mapping. So we're able to do different things. Also, in our postman, it's going to be a little bit different depending on what we select. But we'll go more into the postman in a second. So for our @post mapping with the /list, we have our @post. So we're not doing a request map anymore. We're doing a post, which is a create. So we do the post mapping and then we import the required libraries. And then inside of here, we're just going to pass /list for our URL. Inside of here, we have public customers get post. So this is just our method. This doesn't typically matter too much for what we're doing right now. And we have to return a customers because we want to return after this. So we have @request body. And then in our request body, we're requesting the customers right here. And then we want to do repo.save and then pass in this customers because we're requesting the new body for customers. And then we're returning our new customers as well. So let's do this. Let's say we want to put something inside of here. Well, first in our postman right here, what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to click off of the get. And an easy way to do this, just for this example, we're going to send it back, and let's go to the list one. So in our list, we can copy this right here, just because it's going to be the same formatting. And then inside of here, we are going to go to post. We have to make sure that we are using the correct URL, which is /list. So we're in post, we have our /list. We want to make sure our file type is a JSON. That's really important. And then it's selected on raw, and then our body is right here. So inside of here, we can paste this. Now we want to add something in, so we have to change the ID. So we'll do 3, and then we'll just do new employee. So it's kind of like a null. And then we're just going to do, we'll just do null1@gmail.com. So if we send this, we're going to get a 404 not found, and then the path and the error, and that's just because it's been added already, just through here. So now what we can do is go back to our get. So now we're not posting, we're just going to be reading. We're not creating, we're just reading. If we press send, we can see that we have our new employee right here where we didn't have before. So that's how we would use the post. Now let's say we want to do a delete. Deleting is going to be very similar. Just replace it with @delete mapping, and then we could take this right here. We could make this shorter by just taking out customers and then just doing a /delete/CID. That could be pretty cool, but for this right here, we're going to leave customers in because it's already running. So inside of here, we're just going to do /customers/delete, and then we have, I'm actually going to keep this in here just because I need to know what it says, and then we have our CID. And let's say we want to delete number 2. So this middle one we're just going to delete, or let's say we want to delete our new employee. Or no, we'll just delete number 2. I'm a little bit indecisive. So we're deleting the second one. We have to change this drop down to delete right here. Now we're just going to send this. We can see that it has a not found, and that's just because it's already been deleted. We can go to get, and then we're going to change this back to list. Press enter. We can see that our number 2 has been deleted. It's no more. And the way that this works is that we have our delete mapping, we pass in our URL, and then inside of here we would do the same path variable where we take the ID, and then in here we're just going to make a variable called cust of our customers class, and we're basically storing whatever customer is associated with this customer ID. So we do repo.get1, and then we have our CID inside of here. So we're going to get this, and it's going to be stored inside of cust, and then we just do repo.delete cust. So we're deleting that ID and then just returning our cust. So that is how that would work. We're returning this right here. Now, for the last one, we have our put mapping, and that's the last thing on our list right here, put. So our put is when we want to update something. So what we're going to have to do is go into put right here. We have to look at the URL. Our URL is going to be /list. So we can change this, or it's still /list, JSN, raw body type. And let's say we now want to update this. Well, we have to keep the same CID because we have to know which one to update. So we're going to pass in 3. Notice for put mapping, it's a little bit different. We have to specify our path. So the path is /list, not just like our URL inside of here. We have to have the consumes, and this consumes our application/JSN file. Inside of here, we're going to be requesting the body of our customers, and we request it because we want to edit it. And then we're just going to do repo.save, and then we have our customers and return customers. So inside of here, we have our CID is 3, and then we're going to change this. Let's say someone got hired. We're going to call this, let's say, we'll call it Christy. And then here, we're going to change her email to Christy. And as long as we have the correct commas and everything, the spaces, nothing will matter. So let's do Christy Wong. We have a comma, we have comma. Everything looks good. So, oh, except we need a parenthesis right here. So that's important. We should actually have the parenthesis inside of here. So it should look like this. And now we can just send it in. We send it, we have it not found, but if we go back to our get, we send it again. So now we're getting our list. We can see that Christy Wong is now with our CID right here. So that is how we would use our put mapping, delete mapping, and post mapping to update, delete, or create something. We've also gone over how we would do a list, how we would get like a specific person and make it look nice, And we've also gone over inside of our H2 console how we could add things inside of here. So we insert into whatever we have here, our customers, which is the class we have. We have our values like one Brandon, and then we have the email and so on and so forth. And let's say we want to run this again. Let's say without this. So we can take this out, select from customers, and we can see what we did in Postman will actually update here. So we have computer engineering and Christy Wong. So if I just press run, we have computer engineering and Christy Wong. If we insert into here, we can run this, and we should be able to overwrite it, or not, because we're doing 1 and 2. So we're overwriting the first one, and we're just adding Michelle Lee back in here, and we can see it is going to reflect in here. If we just we can see we have 1, 2, and 3. So that's going to be it for how we would do this specific part of the code. There's going to be more about Spring, specifically next video will be Spring Data REST hands-on, in the description below the like button.